We specialize in accounting and finance professionals all across Canada. I was full-time corporate employee. Started my journey now 3.5 years now.
What was that transition like? How were you feeling?
Yeah, I remember going through the program. It was the first foremost thing I think was a huge mindset shift in terms of being comfortable with the job. Instead of really focusing 100% just on the business, I was focused on my mindset as well. A lot of that mindset really helped me in the start of it, lays the foundation properly. Within the first 3 months, I had about 30,000 or so in placements, 3 to 4 months. And after that, things started to consistently be about 10, 15K a month and then 30K a month. Once we got to the 30K a month, that's when I got into the mastermind program.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's episode. I'm thrilled to have a very exciting guest. Goes by the name of Sam Sami. Sam is a recruitment agency owner and he's been part of the Agency Blueprint program for over, I think, 18 months now. Sam's came a long way. So he started off, and you're going to hear a lot about his journey, how he started off in recruitment and to where he is now, a lot of the challenges, a lot of the roadblocks he experienced, and a lot of the successes, and to where he is today. So welcome, Sam, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, great, Gene. Great to see you.
Awesome. So for the audience that doesn't know you, do you want to just tell them a little bit about what your agency does, where you're based, and sort of like going back to how you started?
Yeah, definitely. So, traditionally, I was an accountant, a CPA professional, and our company here, Finland Group, we specialize in accounting and finance professionals all across Canada, really. And we're really there to help find our clients, their niche requirements when it comes to accounting professionals and whatnot. And just a little bit about me, I guess before I moved into recruitment, I was, full-time corporate employee working in like corporate finance functions for a number of different companies. And, started my journey now, I think it's almost been about 3.5 years now. So it's been great.
Wow. Awesome. So basically you're based in Canada, is that right?
In Canada, yeah. Toronto.
Yeah. So walk us through then. So in terms of like, you started off is in financial accountants, and then like what made you want to actually start a recruitment agency?
Yeah, very interesting. Honestly, like this was, I've always kind of played around with a number of businesses, and I think I always had that kind of entrepreneurial bug in me. I think it also kind of came from the environment I grew up in. My family had a weekend stall at, the local, some people call it farmers market, but we used to call it flea market. Ever since I was 4 or 5, I remember my parents taking me with them every weekend. Like we never had a normal childhood. Like every weekend I was there at the bazaars with them. But we're kind of taught parents like, go to school, go to university, get a good education, get a job. So I did that, and once I completed all of that, I always had that bug in me, and I was always thinking about different businesses and doing different things even while I was working. And I just knew that it was kind of like the right thing for me. And though I didn't really come from a recruitment firm experience, I kind of dabbled into it myself a little bit, kind of with someone else for a little while, but it just kind of started from there.
That's awesome. So in terms of like what made you think about starting in finance, because I know obviously that's the industry you're in, and I say to a lot of people that are starting out, if you don't have recruitment experience, you definitely need like niche industry experience. So walk me back to that transition then, because like when you were about to quit your job and start up, like what was that transition like, and how were you feeling?
No, that's a great question. Bringing back a lot of emotions, because it's still pretty fresh, right? Like 2 to 3 years. But I remember, going through the program, it was the first foremost thing I think was a huge mindset shift in terms of being comfortable with the job. You're going to get paid bi-weekly regardless of whatever you do, and going into a business where you kind of feel like you're all by yourself, really. And I think honestly, a lot of the support from the group and yourself, I think the first couple of months, I think I was lucky where instead of really focusing 100% just on the business, I was focused on my mindset as well. And I read that book Cybernetics, and Felix Dennis, what was it called? I think he mentioned
how to get rich.
How to get rich, right? Yeah, exactly. And he mentioned that salary is the drug they give you, right? Or it's don't get too comfortable with the salary. You're never going to be able to kind of get out of it. So I think early on it was just starting up the basics, getting my mindset changed, and I think a lot of that mindset really helped me in the start of it, because then it kind of just lays the foundation properly. It's going to be a lot of tough work in the beginning. It's not easy, especially when you start.
Yeah, for sure. Because like when you started out, and just remind me again, when you did start, Sam, did you started the agency, then did you join Recruit Accelerator, or what was the transition of when you started? And you had your job, didn't you?
Yeah. So I was working. I was still working full time. So I didn't quit my job job right away, and I slowly kind of transitioned. I think it was after actually a year or so. So I think my start was a little bit slow. I was still in my full-time job, and you're not really 100% into the business, and I didn't see my full result until I left my job, and okay, and I was 100% in. But basically, yeah, I started with Recruiter Accelerator, and I was still working full-time, but it kind of gave me the ability, right, to start up and then have that support system.
Yeah. So how long was it until you managed to quit your job, and then when you went all in?
So it was a year and a half, exactly. The issue that I had was I got married 6 months after, and planning everything and honeymoon phase and all of that, traveling a little bit. So that kind of wiped out like 3-4 months right there, and then ramping up again. Plus the market was a little different in 2020, right? So, but it was exactly a year and a half where I eventually quit my job. But I definitely think it's possible for someone to do it much quicker than that. I think my situation was just a little bit different.
Yeah, because I know we got people in the program that have done that maybe for 2, 3, 4 months and then transitioned over once they've got enough clients. And I think looking back, you probably could have done the same, but there's obviously personal circumstance as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the Eureka moment for you to hand your notice in? What happened? Did you make a placement? Did you get enough clients to give you the confidence? What was it?
Honestly, I believe I had one small placement done. It was actually a really funny story though. So I was, with the systems we have, I was reaching out on LinkedIn, and I accidentally reached out to one of my ex-colleagues that was still working in the same company at the time. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing? You got 2 gigs going on?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And this guy is literally the same part of the same team we're all working in. And then he's like, "Hey, don't worry about it," because he got a new job, a new manager job somewhere else. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be quitting somewhere." And then funny thing was, 2 weeks later, he messaged me that he needs to hire someone, and I was like, "Sure, I'll help you." So it was like kind of like a weird situation where that was my first role. We filled it, but basically I think it was just I was frustrated because I knew that I'm working full time, and I'm one foot is kind of in work and one foot is working on the business, and I knew that I have to be 100% in and fully committed if I wanted to work. So it was just really that, and I think the trigger point for me was I was kind of frustrated. Something happened where I was kind of just frustrated, not at work, but I was frustrated with not getting results quick enough, and it just kind of pushed me to the next step, and I gave in my notice and was just fully dedicated from there on.
Yeah, awesome. So what actually happened when you put your notice in? Then what were the first 6 months like in terms of placements, fees, winning clients?
Honestly, after I gave my notice in, things just really started to take off from there. Of course, it was a lot of work. I was putting in a lot of hours in, but it's enjoyable. You're working on your business. Placements started to trickle in. I think I had 2 placements that came in, 2 small placements that came in, and then I had 1 big placement for 3-4 roles altogether. So I think within the first 3 months, I had about 30,000 or so in placements, 3 to 4 months. And then after that, things started to consistently be about 10, 15K a month, and then 30K a month. And then once we got to the 30K a month, that's when I got into the mastermind program where, my goal was to try to get to the 7 figures, right, basically.
Yeah, and I know obviously we'll touch on that, but I know you've shared some awesome wins inside the group where it got to that 80K mark in the months, yeah?
Yeah. Definitely.
That's awesome. So walk me through then, what would you say, looking back and knowing what you know now, what would you say the key daily basis habits that you've installed in yourself and your habits to get the business to where it is now, hitting 7 figures?
I think, these are kind of like the soft things that any entrepreneur needs to have. And I think writing your goals down, having a clear idea of which direction, where you want to go, and writing them down on a planner, daily planner. I use the Grant Cardone 10X planner, but there's a lot of planners that you can use where basically you're writing down specifically, what are your targets that you want to achieve, and just writing it down every day. And I think it just reinforces your subconscious to really kind of go out there and put yourself into work. So I think honestly that's really important, and a lot of good stuff, from the program, that from really what I've learned from you as well, James, right? Having kind of a manifestation of where you see yourself in the next couple of years. I think that really helps because we just get so busy with working. It's very easy to get demotivated in recruitment, right? A couple of bad months, you get demotivated, and if you don't have that vision, then you have to really realize that recruitment is a vehicle of what you want want your life to be, right? And if you don't have that vision, then it can get very demotivating. So I think doing the what did we used to call it, our vision board, right? Doing a vision board, which we learned in the mastermind program. We also did a lot of unique things like 3-month goal, 6-month goal, 1-year goal. So all of these things really just compounded into having a clear idea where you want to get to and just working towards it.
Yeah, I think like these are the things of I know obviously when we start up in the program we talk about building the foundations. Like even before phase 1 of getting clients, it's like mindset first and installing daily habits and consistency, because those are like the key things. Yes, we can give you lots of tactics, content, strategies, but a lot of it does come down to like your daily mindset, who you need to become in order to get to where you want to get to. And,
yes, definitely.
You really, looking back into the program and Side Elite, Sam, you just literally took everything that I taught and went with it and implemented. Yeah. And that's why you got the results. It wasn't like when you compare people that are at maybe 20, 30K months and you're at 80K months or whatever, it's just those little nuanced things. It's not like something transformational of like, wow, Sam, what have you actually done? Well, I've just done the consistent things daily every single day and I got the results.
Yeah, 100%. People think like it's like some special magic that you have to do, but honestly, it comes down to having a good network as well. And I think the mastermind provides that network as well. And people need to really focus on themselves and learning and growing and developing themselves in order to take themselves to the next level. Because it's like anything you do in life, if you have a mentor or you have a support group, right, it's just gonna help accelerate your growth that way.
Well, that's a good question, because like there's probably a lot of people listening to this and they probably haven't invested in themselves. So we take that as a verbatim, some that we invest in ourselves and get mentors, go masterminds programs. But what would you say to the people that like haven't been investing in themselves and the reason why they should?
Yeah, honestly, like it's like you're only gonna reap you're only gonna get your reward what you reap, right? Like so the more you invest in yourself, the more you invest in your business, the more returns you're gonna get. So that's an obvious, but also like it just comes down to like you're not gonna make the same mistake, and like you're gonna have a part of a group, like you'll save just so much time, right? Knowing what to do. If there's something that you're running by, like an idea, then you can run it by the group, and it's just kind of like a very good network to have, because it'll save you first a lot of time to see what works well, because others have done it. So I think that's the number one thing. But personally, investing in yourself, I think like when I joined the program and then I started like watching like podcasts and YouTube videos, and I've noticed something very similar with everyone that's very successful in the world. Like you'll notice a lot of them have invested in themselves, and that's literally like I realized, okay, it kind of like clicked to me, like okay, that's what all these ultra highly successful people are doing, is that they're constantly investing in themselves, and the results are just a byproduct. It will come eventually, right? But you need to kind of take that first step and really go out there and put the effort in to just do it.
Yeah, it's so true. Obviously, you mentioned the 10X planner, and Grant Cardone's been a good mentor of mine over the years as well. And he actually, I remember watching this. It was on a reel, I think, about people investing and how people are really wanting to get to where they want to get to, but they invest the money that they've got in investing in the house, doing a makeover of the living room, for example, or putting a new kitchen in, or buying a new car, but they wouldn't even spend $1,000, $5,000 on themselves to improve themselves so they can make an extra 100K, an extra million, when really they should be investing in themselves first, make the money, and then you can buy the dream house, you can buy the dream car. And people's thought process is the wrong way around. It's like, oh, that's a lot of money. Well, compared to what? Compared to like the $20,000 car that you bought, or the renovation of the house, that should come after that you've grown your business and been successful. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes by Grant Cardone, because in his planner, he makes you write down a quote. So one of my favorite quotes was like, comfort makes more prisoners than all jail cells combined. Basically, like once people get comfortable, they're just going to stop growing. They're just going to lock themselves in, confine themselves into whatever their current state is. So he says like it creates more prisoners, because if you see mass majority of people out there just very comfortable with their lives, they just don't want to put in any effort in or grow, or they're too scared. But it comes down to they're just comfortable. They're getting a paycheck and they're happy, and that's it, really.
It's very true. Humans are not, that's what we're wired to do. Like humans want comfort, and success is on the other side of comfort. So you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, is what I always say, like, as an entrepreneur, business owner. Like if you think you're just going to get comfort by running a business, you're not. And that's why a lot of people like get held back, because it's going outside of the comfort zone. And there's like no guarantees as such, but because they're going into the unknown, which is one of the most important things, like getting a mentor, whether it's me or someone else, it doesn't matter. But because someone's going to guide you that's already been through that, because otherwise your mindset will drag you back to the person that you are now. And it's going to be very hard for you to become somebody else if you're not around a community of other people that are like-minded, that are going through the same journey as you, and also someone else that's already been there, done that, and has seen around the corners they can't see themselves.
Exactly, yeah. And it reminded me a lot of what you've always said as well, that whatever you've done to get to your certain point you're at now, in order to get to the next level, things need to be different. Things need to change, right? You need to be in a different mindset, in a different goal, and in a different community, whatever, to get to that next level.
So true. With that being said, what would you say, Sam, is, like, in your opinion, the number one thing that's holding recruitment business owners back from actually becoming successful?
I think honestly, too comfortable, like we mentioned, getting out of comfort zone, getting a mindset shift of maybe better ways and processes of doing things. And I think maybe it's kind of like the old trap, right? Oh, I got 20 years of experience and I've been doing it this way. It's just, if you're not coming in with an open mind, then you're just missing out so many opportunities in the world, really, right? You're very limited in your mindset. So it can be really eye-opening, I guess, for a lot of folks if they just a little bit more open.
Yeah, you probably, that actually resonates a lot. Like seeing the people in the community and the group inside Recruit Accelerate, you'll see a lot of people when they welcome themselves that they've been in the industry 20 years, recruitment, and then now they've finally opened the eyes to opening to see how things can be done differently. And then to see people like you that are already killing it in the game, that are already like 5 steps of them, but you've only been in the industry like 3 years. And that gives them probably the biggest wake-up call, is because the more someone's just in that old era mindset of like running a business and setting their ways, it's very hard to unwire them. So the longer they're in that, it's doable, but you'll see you came in fresh without even having recruitment experience. And look at you now, the transformation you've made, because you just absorb things like a sponge, listened, learned, implemented. Whereas someone that's been in the game, say 20 years, they'll listen and they'll be listening from a different angle of thinking, well, no, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, because they've maybe been down a different path before, and it's very hard for them to like believe it when someone's coming in green. They're just like, do this, and you just walk through the path and you're walking through each part. And it's very hard for those people.
Definitely 100%. And it's like anything in life, though, you just get comfortable doing things. And like, look at our parents. Our parents are probably been so comfortable doing what they're doing. My dad still does the same business he's been doing the last 20 years. It's like watch, prepare. He loves doing it, but he's like 68 now, but every day he's still out hustling, just doing the same thing he's been doing, right? It's just people get comfortable, but the ones that are truly successful are the ones that are not afraid to change and learn and grow.
It's true. So, like the more time you spend on yourself, the faster your business will grow. It's very, very parallel with that.
And the other thing I forgot to mention, James, is that I think like what we were really ingrained and taught in the beginning as well is like, working on the business than rather working in the business. I think the program's just a great way for people to focus on working on the business rather than just working in it 24/7 or 5 days a week. That also, I think, is a mindset in itself, right? Like, how can I transition to work on the business rather than just working in it?
Yeah, and I suppose like from your end, that's a good point. So because you came in from day one, you were working in the business, but also still trying to work on it and systemizing things over time. So obviously building out your automation campaigns, the systems to get candidates and clients, and building out your sourcing team, like all of those things you did pretty much from when you started making placements and you went all in.
100%. Yeah, it's been a journey that way.
What would you say is something that's like you see working brilliantly in your recruitment business right now?
I think right now what I'm really enjoying is that building a team up and having a team that can work on the business. Like, I've been away now, I think since May 4th, 7, 14, 20, 3 weeks now. And the team's still working. The business is still running with me without being there. And I think this month we've had 3 placements already. So and like literally I've been traveling, I've been on a cruise this whole time. So it's been amazing. I didn't think that this is possible, right? I think the program, it comes down to that at the end of the day, because you don't want to be grinding out for 5-10 years. Eventually you want a business, really. And I think the program can give you a business and give you all the little tactics to enable that to become a business.
Yeah, it's awesome. Probably a good feeling is being away on holiday and knowing you're still making placements and making money.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Awesome. What would you say? I know I've recommended a lot of books in the program, but from your side then, Sam, what would you say the best business book you've you've read in the last 6 months?
Definitely. I think the E-Myth is really amazing. I think the E-Myth, I read it too early a couple of years ago, and now I realized that I had to kind of go back to it because now I'm at the process where I'm trying to, maintain our monthly revenue level, and at the same time now try to do it without me in the picture. So I think that's why I kind of went back to E-Myth, because it kind of helps to work on the business rather than, to systemize, kind of have a formula that will be working every month. Other than that, what book I would really recommend to folks is like Psycho-Cybernetics. I think it's an amazing book. Like if you're in recruitment, if you're in any business, really, like anything in life, I think that would be the best.
Get it out as in my cupboard. This is the book, everyone. Yeah, it's a great book. I've read it many times. It's and this one, Atomic Habits, is a little bit more simpler, but it's another book I would recommend as well. So what's a standard day like for you now, Sam? So as a recruitment business owner, walk us through like a standard day. When, like, what time do you get into work? What are the tasks that you're working on, and what are the projects you're working on?
That's a very good question. So I'm actually a night owl. Like I'm wide awake at night for some reason. The mornings, I usually try to wake up in the morning around like 7 o'clock, kind of go for a walk or try to do some exercise. We have a 9 a.m. team huddle every morning. So we have a team of about 6 people now. So basically the team huddle, we just kind of walk through our dashboard of roles that we're working on and kind of what's priority. And then basically from there, I was doing a lot of the candidate calls myself over the last year or so. And we've hired delivery consultants, so she's kind of taking a lot of that off my plate now. And now I'm really trying to they're working on how we can systemize, make things more efficient, helping out with any really technical roles. I'm still involved in the business day to day, but now with what we've learned in the program and the delivery consultant, I think that's helped me a lot to try to take it to the next level. And then basically I've scheduled like about 2-3 hours in the day to still do some candidate calls. But after that, really, like my time is really trying to focus on how we can improve things, how I can focus on doing getting more clients. So I try to focus more on high quality tasks, like high value tasks, whereas the team is doing all the other tasks that you can say are probably worth like under $50 an hour.
That's good. It's good to hear. So what would you say the transition has been since, because you were doing, was it like 70-80K months when you were doing it by like yourself with just the systems automation and the VA? And then what was the transition when you managed to bring in delivery consultants so they were actually producing revenue instead of just you doing the deals?
Yeah, I think it was hovering around like 40 to 50K months. And then once I brought the delivery consultant in, that's kind of when it jumped up to like anywhere from 70 to 90
Amazing.
months.
And what would you say the feelings been when knowing that you have a business that actually generates cash without actually you having to do the inputs?
Oh, it's a great feeling. It's like it honestly feels like it's like you have a baby that's grown up, and it's like an asset that's giving you cash. That's literally how it feels.
What's your goal in the next 3 years?
Honestly, to keep building the business. My goal in the next year or so is to kind of build up a bigger team of delivery consultants and have myself now, like I'm happy with the revenue we're at, but have myself out of the business, focused on more high level tasks, and actually create a stable business without me there 100%.
Probably for one of the last questions would be for those people that are interested in maybe investing in themselves and a program we could accelerate out. What would you say to people that are on the fence of like maybe shouldn't they do it? And what would you say?
Oh, I would say like if this is something you're 100% committed to, then like it's only gonna help you grow. It's not gonna bring you backwards, and you're gonna look back and be like, oh, that was the best investment of my life. Really.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Like, it's been amazing watching your journey. I know you've got a little 8-month-old little girl now, so congratulations on that. So it's changed a lot for you, obviously, since being a business owner. Yeah,
it's been great. Like, being able to travel more and spend my time with my family, and it's been really rewarding. Like you can just do so much more in life when you're in control and you have an asset that can produce, money and provide more value really to the world.
It's awesome. I know you're on a cruise now, so you've been cruising around the Mediterranean coast, going to all of the nice places.
Yeah, like it's a 5-week vacation. We've been all around the Mediterranean, into Rome, Venice, Croatia, Santorini, Mykonos, and then from there we're in Turkey. We're in actually a resort now, like a 5-star resort on the Mediterranean, Antalya, and then from there I'm going to Dubai, and then from Dubai we're going to be flying come back to Canada. So it's been like a trip of a lifetime. Like people that are working or, they don't have the systems and tools, like they probably wouldn't be even able to dream of having a 5-week vacation, right? It's definitely doable.
It's amazing to hear. Well, thank you very much for your time, Sam. Hopefully the listeners and the viewers found some really good golden nuggets in your success story, because I really think anyone that's been on the fence of like even starting a recruitment agency, not necessarily if you're already a recruitment agency owner, but someone that wants to start, you're a testament to doing that, like building a 7-figure agency from scratch with zero recruitment experience. And you've done it quite quickly. Take away the first 18 months because you were backwards and forwards in your job, but you quit your job.
Yeah.
And when you went all in, and I always say that they say when you get on an island, you burn the ships. You've just got one way out. And you need to battle through it. So, and that's always the best way. When there's no plan B, that's when you can be very, very successful. And it's been a pleasure to mentor you over the last couple of years, Sam, and see your progress. And obviously, I wish you well over the next 3-5 years. And I'm sure you're going to continue to be even more successful. So, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, James, we'll chat.
Thank you.